Nothing but stars, scattered across the blackness as though the creator had smashed the windscreen of his car and hadn't bothered to stop to sweep up the pieces. This is the gulf between universes, the chill deeps of space that contain nothing but the occasional random molecule, a few lost comet, but a circle of blackness shifts slightly. The eye reconsiders perspective, and what was apparently the awesome distance of interstellar vast name becomes a world under darkness. It starts the lights of what will charitably be called civilization. For as the world tumbles lazily, it is revealed as the disk world, flat, circular, and carried through space on the back of 4 elephants who stands on the back of Great Atuin, the only turtle ever to feature on the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, a turtle 10,000 miles long, dusted with the frost of dead comets, meteor-pocked, albedo-eyed. No one knows the reason for all this, but it is probably quantum. Much that is weird could happen on a world on the back of a turtle like this. It's happening already. You are listening to me talking about Flat Earth. Welcome, guys and gals. This is your host, Frog Prince Rana, and thank you for dropping by. After lights out, Tepik lay in bed and thought about religion. It was certainly a very complicated subject. The Valley of the Zell had its own private gods which had nothing to do with the world outside. It had always been very proud of the fact. The gods were wise and just and regulated the lives of men with skill and foresight. There was no question about that, but there were some puzzles. For example, he knew his father made the sun come up and the river flood and so on. That was basic. It was what the pharaohs had done ever since the time of Kuft. You couldn't go around questioning things like that. The point was though, did he just make the sun come up in the valley or everywhere in the world? Making the sun come up in the valley seemed a more reasonable proposition. After all, his father wasn't getting any younger, but it was rather difficult to imagine the sun coming up everywhere else and not the valley, which led to the distressing thought that the sun would have come up even if his father forgot about it, which was a very likely state of affairs. He had never seen his father do anything much about making the sun rise, he had to admit. You'd expect at least a grunt of effort around about the dawn. His father never got up until after breakfast. The sun came up just the same. That, dear viewer, is from a novel named Pyramids by my favorite author, Terry Pratchett. Yes, I do have a couple of points. First is a real simple question to all flat earther. If you read Discworld, would you then believe in the notion of Great Atuin, traveling the space carrying 4 elephants on its back? Or would you dismiss it, or maybe enjoy it as a fiction, as it is meant to? If that is the case, then why do some of you bring up Book of Enoch or Zetetic astronomy? Honestly, Terry Pratchett's Discworld makes a lot more sense than either of those. Next is a thought experiment. You might think the idea of Pharaoh's son to think that his dad is responsible for the sun rising is a bit far-fetched. Well, my Egyptian is a bit rusty. So allow me to read you the English translation from Great Hymn to the Aten. You are in my heart. There is no one other who knows you. Beside your son, Neferkepurera, Sol one of Ara, Akhenaten. You instruct him in your plans, in your strength. The land comes into being by your action as you make them. And when you have shown, they live. When you rest, they die. You are lifetime. In your body, people live by you. Eyes are on your beauty until you set. All work is stopped when you set on the west. Shine and strengthen, all for the king. Motion is in every leg since you founded the earth. You rise them for your son who come from your body. The king who lives on right, lord of the two lands. Neferkepurera, Sol one of Ra, son of Ra who lives on right, lord of rising. Akhenaten, great in his lifespan, and the great king's wife whom he loves, lady of the two lands. Nefer-Neferian Nefertiti, eternally alive. Akhenaten was all but lost to history until the late 19th century discovery of Amarna, or Akhetaten, the new capital city he built for the worship of Aten. Now, Akhenaten's wife for his children, did they know the secret? Did they know that dear dad is not really the son of non-existing sun god? I will sidetrack just for a moment. When my little one was growing up, whenever she would cry, me being a magician, I would just pluck out a toy from thin air, and that would get her to smile. My ex wasn't very fond of it. She thought I was spoiling my sweet pea. Now my little one is 11, and only a couple of months ago, I let her in the secret. I wasn't really producing toys from thin air. All this time, well, I wanted her to retain that wonder and to think that her dad is super cool. Also, I was worried that she would go and tell everyone.
You can see me do it again in a talent show next week.
I'd like to come, but only if I was sure you wouldn't get hurt.
There's no chance whatsoever. I'll show you. You don't open the top. The locks are real. The can is in two halves, and they slide apart. From inside, you just push up. Easy peasy.
So I feel for the pharaohs. In my case, some people would just stop believing in magic. But if the whole kingdom thinks that I am the reason the sun rises, and that is why I'm the king, that is a secret I wouldn't tell anyone. If you have watched the movie Prestige, this would make sense to you. London, March 23, 1918. Something went terribly wrong for Chungling Su, the man known as the marvelous Chinese conjurer, performed defying the bullets, the signature act he had been perfecting for decades during a high-profile date on his nationwide tour of the UK. The bullets were selected in full view of the audience, loaded into the muzzle of two guns. They were then fired directly at the magician's head. The idea was that the master Chinese illusionist would miraculously catch them in his teeth before dropping them into a bowl where they would rattle together in a death-defying flourish. The sound of two shots were heard, but instead of catching the bullets in a bravura display of magical daring, Chungling Su collapsed on the stage at the Wood Green Empire. "My God, I have been shot! Lower the curtain!" he declared in perfect English. The following day, the greatest conjurer of the age, a magician who claimed to have performed for the Emperor of China, was dead. You see, Chungling Su, a Chinese man who never spoke on stage, could barely speak English and always used an interpreter, was really William Ellsworth Robinson, born in Westchester County, New York. 3 reasons for this story. 1, it's a cool story. 2, well, I'll let you figure it out. And 3 is just to show the measure one needs to go through to really keep a secret. Let's try a different scenario. I can do an amazing rain dance, and every time I performed it, guess what? It did rain. Now, it may have something to do with the fact that either I checked the weather forecast or made some estimations from the clouds, wind direction, and a bit of audience management. Wait, forget what I just said. So, as I was saying, I can perform a rain dance and it rains. At this point, you can study my dance, maybe video it, and then you test it out yourself. Now, having a scientific mind yourself, you decide to do this dance once a week for a whole year. And at the end of the year, you find out that it rained every single time you perform the dance. What should our conclusion be? Does it mean that the dance is causing the rain? Yes, it did rain every day you danced. But what happened in the other days? Does the same thing happen when you try this dance in a different place? What about other people performing the very same dance? Do they get the same result? Now let me connect these two scenarios. The opposite of secret is public knowledge, and that rain dance is just my poor metaphor for various theories. Over our time span on this planet, we have progressed a lot. What we are capable of doing now would be magical and impossible even hundreds of years ago. And we can thank science and technology for that. The beauty is the public knowledge and peer review. Now, there are some experiments that are out of reach for normal people like me. But we have enough normal proof and experiment regarding almost every aspect of life. Maybe we can't all test Higgs boson, but for more down-to-earth things like the shape of our planet or the existence of a virus that has killed over 1 million people around the globe, that shouldn't be hard to comprehend. For those who lives and dies by Occam's razor, well, isn't the simplest answer of this reality being true? And all the scientists and doctors are cahoot with an invisible them is really the complicated explanation? This is where I'll end this video. Thank you so much for watching and sticking till the very end. If you have enjoyed it, please like, comment and even share it with friends and families. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. That would help my little channel grow. Thank you once again. Wherever you are, have a safe day. Signing off.